I used to treat fluency as a destination to be reached as fast as possible. After sticking through language learning for about a decade, 10 years, I'm here to share with you some of my biggest realizations about what language learning has taught me about life and how to just be a better language learner and person in general. Learning languages has been one of the most challenging things I have ever done in my life. It has been one of the most rewarding and fulfilling and challenging self-development projects that I think I will ever embark on. The very first thing that language learning has taught me is being able to be flexible and adapt your goals and how you are reaching those goals to the seasons of your life is one of the most valuable and underrated beneficial things that you could ever do for your language learning. Be adaptable to how I reach my goals. We always have this picture of how we want things to go in general in life, and language learning is no exception. We assume that looking at other people's journeys, we can do the exact same thing and get there in the exact same way and at the exact same timing, without even really considering what life season we are in, right? Where are we in terms of our mental headspace? Can we sit with ourselves and show ourselves a little bit more understanding if we are having a stressful day, if we are low energy, for example, after a really hectic work day? I remember using so much of my own mental energy to just worry and spiral into the self-doubt, the self-criticism of not being able to get where I wanted in my own language fast enough that took away energy that I could have been using to actually study, right? I think we don't realize how much mental energy goes into worrying about if we're doing the right thing. And this is also something that I love to coach language learners on in order for them to get to their results that they want to get to a lot more efficiently than if they were doing that by themselves. So do also look down in the comments if you're interested in learning about working together. No pressure, but it's really my life's work to be able to help language learners understand how to think about their own language learning, and a great way to be able to do that. And what I learned throughout my own language learning experience is to be able to reflect and think about how my seasons have to fit in with language learning itself, with any goal that I want to achieve that's really big, in order to also just enjoy the process along the way. Language learning will always have linear cycles, seasons of doing less when you are resting and relaxing, maybe taking a break from your language. Another season of fast progress where you find your results accelerating, you're learning so much, you're retaining so much. And then a period of the in-between where you have less clarity because you're seeing less results, but that allows you to just take a breather and understand how to think about your own language learning, how seasons fit into your life, and how those seasons are going to affect how you approach your languages. Now, I'm sure that everyone has heard about time management inside the productivity space. What I have found actually is that energy management beats time management every single time. There are actually different ways of managing energy. It has been studied actually by these sports scientists up here, where they really measured how we renew our energy, because just like time, it's a finite source. So how do we use what we have efficiently while still making the whole learning process sustainable for us? Plus, how do we renew our energy so that we just don't feel depleted trying to come into a language learning session? I found through the study, as well as just in my own personal experience, there's so many ways that you can influence how your energy shows up. Of course, we think about physically, right? What energy can we bring to a language study session today? How is that being affected? It may be by our health. Maybe we have a headache. Maybe we went to bed too late. Maybe we haven't been eating well enough. We haven't been staying hydrated. There's also, though, a way to renew energy that I had referred to in my other point, which is being able to renew your emotional energy. And that has to do with if you have been stuck in months, even years of spiraling and having a lot of shame and guilt related to how you learn languages, that is going to drain your emotional energy so much and quickly. And then there is more of a spiritual energy, which I'm not saying that necessarily in a religious way, but just in terms of how are you connected to your language learning? Do you know your purpose? Do you know why you're doing what you're doing? And do you know your values? Are you following those values through your language learning? If you feel that you are aimless, that you just don't know where to go, that you don't have clarity, then that depletion of energy in this way can also really influence how you show up to your language learning session that's coming up. We can structure our day however we want to, but if our energy in any of these areas is lacking, then that it can negatively affect how we approach language learning and how we show up. And over a decade, if you've been inside your language learning journey for quite a while now, then not meeting yourself again where you are and concentrating only on time, only on metrics instead of actually listening to yourself and your body, that can make all the difference in how you actually are enjoying or not enjoying your language learning journey. I did also make the language learning sustainability planner just for this. So if you have been struggling with showing up even on hard days in your language learning journey and you want to make your routine more sustainable, then also make sure you check out the pinned comment below and sign up for free for that. Another thing I learned is that you will always be your own best language learning teacher. Now, I'm not talking about everyone becoming a language learning teacher of French or Spanish or German, right? What I'm instead talking about is that you already have inside you what you know you need in order to succeed. You are already capable enough. I have found myself before outsourcing a lot of my own intuition onto thinking that this new app or this new textbook is going to get me fluent the fastest possible. I think we have all been there because there's so many resources that we could pick technically to get to our goal in language learning. But as I said, with different seasons in life comes also the fact that different resources won't always work for that season that we are in, for the kind of energy that we are showing up to in our own language journey with. And that is no one's fault. It's simply because we are human. And instead of trusting a resource or someone else, a person that you look up to tell you how to get to your goals, in doing so, you can give so much trust to that person that you forget that you are a whole person and you are the one that spends the most amount of time with yourself during the day, during the night, during the week, etc. You are your own best authority about how to show up in your language learning. Now, resources and teachers, right? Programs, they can definitely help you understand this is the general order that I need to learn French in, right? I learn basics, then I learn how to conjugate verbs, but there's always a fine line in between trusting them so much that you forget that you can trust yourself the most, actually. And once you really start to appreciate, see the value, and lean into your seasons, that's really when you get some breathing room to appreciate how human you can be and how beautiful a thing it is to actually work with yourself instead of feel like you are fighting against yourself, against your perceived weaknesses in language learning, etc. I found that this also just applies to life. I am learning, especially this year, to accept myself on an even deeper level. And that includes my flaws, my weaknesses that I have as a human that show up in other domains of my life outside language learning, and learning to also just go with the flow of life, no matter how much I plan, no matter how much I want things to go a certain way. There's always an internal knowing that we have, and I hope that this video has reassured you that yes, you do have what it takes And yes, you are your own best authority. Again, sometimes it can be tricky to really understand how that is actually possible, especially when you've been inside years of telling yourself, hey, I'm not good enough. I don't know if I can actually get to fluency, etc. So if you are, again, feeling a lot of doubt and frustration, I do highly suggest you go to the comments below if you are interested in how me as your language learning coach could help you get to your results more efficiently. Thanks you guys for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe because it really does help the algorithm get my work to other language learners like you who are looking for guidance as well as just company on this crazy journey we call language learning. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see each other in another video very soon.